fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time once again for the second of this 5-round championship presented by Aussie Online Gaming. It's the Summer of GR86, one of the newest cars on the iRacing service at one of the most newly updated tracks for the second round. We had some very fun, exciting, sometimes controversial racing at the Rudskogen Motor Center for round one. Let's see what Virginia International Raceway will bring to us with its new updated look and geometry with the new wider curbs and depressingly, as you can see, no more oak tree at Oak Tree Corner. Well, we will certainly be making reference to that a few times tonight. I'm Reese Gardner, and with me in the commentary box is Braden Martin, with Jay Kennedy behind the scenes handling all of the production side of things, bringing this to you live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Let's see what we can do then here, Braden, as we check out VIR, one of the most historic and highly regarded road courses in North America.
Yeah, absolutely. New scan, new drivers, new week of racing. And we got some team changes and lots going on. So looking forward to another really thrilling night of racing here at the AOG Summer of GR86.
Indeed. As we zoom on into the eastern United States, Virginia International Raceway is pretty much in NASCAR country. It's just over the border between North Carolina and Virginia. This place was built back in the mid-1950s and is one of the original 3 road courses purpose-built in the United States, the other 2 being Watkins Glen and Road America. And you'll note in the information down on the bottom left that it actually spent some time closed in 1974 and then reopened in 2000 under its current model as a combined country club and racetrack with some relevant upgrades as well. There used to be quite a bit more trees around the circuit. They've been cleared as well to provide some runoff area, but we can see, Braden, that this is quite a complicated layout. It might not look it at first glance, but the more you look, the more you drive the racetrack, you realize there's a lot of nuances here.
Yeah, well, it says there's 17 corners, but if you've driven this track, you'll know there's lots more little twists and turns that are part of sections such as 5 and 5A or 17 and 17A. So there's a few more turns than you actually think out there on the track. Lots of room for drafting and lots of space to run off if you get things wrong, but it takes a long time to get back on the track.
Yeah, it does. There's vast expanses of grass around this whole racetrack and some very difficult braking zones as well, particularly into the roller coaster, turn 14 up the top of the screen there. You've got to brake and turn at the same time, and with how tail happy the GR86 Cup car tends to be, we might see a few drivers making some mistakes there. Turn 10 as well, the sweeper that goes across a crest before plunging downhill towards turn 11 and 12 at Oak Tree. That is going to be a difficult one to get right at the best of times in any car. But the S's of turns 7, 8, and 9 are flat out. So we'll be seeing a lot of hard driving here tonight. As the drivers are in their qualifying session at the moment, we'll be getting some of that information to you soon. We'll go over the championship standings first. Cody Deeth absolutely dominating the first round at Rudskogen Motor Center here, won all 3 races. Adam Briggs not too far behind, but we can see the further we go down the top 10, Braden, the points gaps are ever closer.
That's it. Getting very close between 4th and 5th. Caleb Hides and Tom Freer both on 95 points, and just little 4.5 gaps here and there all throughout the top 10, which is going to prove to make some interesting and close racing this week.
Indeed it will. Josh Fitt just off the 10th spot on 64 points as well. This is the format for tonight. It's basically the same as the first round, and we'll have 3 laps of solo qualifying and then 10, 15 and 20 minutes respectively for all 3 races, and the grids are progressive. Qualifying is only setting the grid for the first race here, and the grids for the eventual races will be determined by the results of the race before. So 6 minutes left in qualifying, and here is Mr. Deeth, one of many young guys in this field, racing that matte black machine that certainly stands out. We'll see what he can do to overcome Bo Albert, who is at the top of the standings, and Bo had a very rough night at Rudskogen Motor Centre. He has returned for round 2, and he'll certainly be hoping that his pace will actually result in something tonight, Braden, as we see Deeth making his way through the roller coaster section. Very difficult in this car.
Yeah, and one thing you would have noticed on the timing tower, as we just had it up before, is the change of color on Ben Holiday. So he was highlighted by a yellow square next to his name and behind his number last week, saying he was in the amateur class, but through his really quality performance last week, he's actually been promoted up into the pro division. So that's going to make things interesting at the front, and see if that changes his driving style at all. Maybe now fighting with those people he was driving around last week, I can't see it changing too much. He had a pretty flawless drive last week.
Yeah, I can't either. Ben Holiday definitely making a statement there as we check out Mr. Holiday, part of the Drop Bear Motorsports stable as well. So as he goes into the crisscross here and out into the S's section, we'll get an idea of how flat out it is. You're basically foot to the floor from the moment you come out of that right-hander, and you're just trying to straight line this section as much as possible. Hug the right-hand side of the circuit to open up the entry into the S's, and then just blend to the apex over the crest. The car doesn't complain at all. But then we come up to turn 10 here. You've got to get on the brakes just a little bit, maybe just a slight lift. You can go so quickly through that section in the 86 Cup car. And then Oak Tree, very difficult to get right. As you can see, he's fighting the rear end on his way into this corner, but it's so important to get right, Braden, because you've got this long straight just after.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to spot that turn-in point for some. Now with the Oak Tree missing, others might find it a little bit easier to cut their way back across that empty space that we've got there and try and get a nice run up this big long back straight, and maybe set yourself up for a move into the roller coaster if you dare.
Indeed. Holiday is currently P2 on the timesheets. He's only 3/10 behind Bo Albert. We'll see if this lap is any faster for him. He is certainly dancing that car on the very limit of adhesion. So he's got to be careful here coming into Hog Pen. This little drop tends to unsettle the car a bit, and certainly unsettled in there. The drop combined with the change in direction definitely makes it difficult to make your way through that corner, and he has abandoned his qualifying run as a result. So best he can hope for is P2, but still a front row start for the time being. Let's see what Caleb Hydes can do in car 92, currently in 12th spot. An improvement from Thomas Hinz as well. He's gone up to P6. Eddie Beswick going up to 21st spot as he got his first times on the board. We're seeing a lot of changes there. Well, Caleb certainly is seeing no need for extra light in his eyes. Racing in the dark with sunglasses. I don't believe I've ever seen anyone do that before.
It could be the sunnies to take the shine off the brightness of that t-shirt he's wearing.
Oh dear. We'll see. We'll see if that is his lucky shirt and it brings him any luck, as the last couple of drivers making their way through on their final laps. Here be Jorgen Smith, who had a up and down, but mostly up night at Rudskogen Motor Centre. Unfortunately, he had a hardware failure. His shifter locked up, which he mentioned was a very odd event to happen. Either way, he had to retire from one of the races at Rudskogen as a result. Currently down in 39th position, fastest lap, a 2:10.38. All he needs is a tenth of a second, and he will have gained a spot over Sam Lehman. So we'll see how he goes as he comes up to the end of the lap. Didn't quite ride the apex curb there, but that's not hugely important in this section.
Yeah, he really wants to get that car over onto the right-hand side, as he does, and drift it out, and then get straight on the gas and make his way down this, again, long front straight. If you can call it a straight, I guess it's more of a curve. And he's going to cross the line. Will he beat his previous time?
Yes.
He does. 209.881. So that's going to move him up to...
Actually, it doesn't look like it will. It looks like he got off tracks on that lap, and it's been invalidated. That's a shame there for Jürgen, but at least he knows that his pace is good, and he might be able to move up. Here is Sam Lehman, just up ahead on the timesheets. See what he can do in the Privateer Echuca Toyota entry here. Very fitting branding for the GR86 Cup car, and once again demonstrating how very nervous the car is in this section of the track. You have to kind of drive at 8/10 or so to even have a hope of getting through Hogpen in this thing, and I had a bit of experience there myself when the car was new. I drove it at VR. I was like, I can't get through Hogpen without spinning. Well, Sam Lehman avoided that. Let's see what this time is. It doesn't look good. 2:15.1, and that will be the end of the qualifying session there. It is a heat session, so that means there's a hard cut right at the end of the qualifying session. You have to finish your final lap before the timer hits 0. Well then, just a few seconds remaining, and we can go through the grid for this 10-minute race 1. With laps running around 2 minutes in on this circuit, we should be expecting a 5-lap race 1. So let's see how they line up. Bo Albert taking pole position. An incredibly good lap there. He actually improved on his final lap to do a 2:06.152, and he will start alongside Lachlan Capel, who couldn't get within 4/10 of him. Ben Holliday, for his first race in the Pro class, starts in 3rd alongside Cody Death, championship leader. And then we've got Stuart Ellis and Thomas Hinz rounding out the top 6. A very strong top 6 there indeed. Starting in 7th spot is going to be Sebastian Flock with Matt Morris alongside him, the first AM car. And then Adam Briggs and Josh Fitt will round out the top 10 with Caleb Hydes and Wayne Burke starting 11th and 12th.
Yep, and that's Bailey Sweeney, who will head off the 7th row next to amateur driver Aidan Coote on P14. Rob Bowden and Kobe Williams, new to the series this week, but not new to SimSpeed TV, in row 8. Tom Freer and Tyson Broad, row 9. Shane Bowen and Josh Lane, row 10, with Dylan Shepherd and Matthew Brunt off of row 11. Craig Anspatch and Eddie Beswick rounding out the top 24.
Ryan Jones will start 25th alongside Daniel Stevens. They've raced each other quite closely in the first round, and it seems this is going to be no different. Doyle and Green on row 14, and then we've got Cameron Stubber and Gavin Barber rounding out the top 30. And it looks like that's just about all the time we're going to be able to have to go through the grid, because we've only got 15 seconds left on the timer. We'll be able to go through them all just before we go for this first race. Patrick Harding rounding out the field there, with Matthew Boylett not taking part in qualifying. We'll see if he decides to take the start. It looks like he won't. Well, the revs rise, and we're going to get ready to go here for round 2 of the Summer of GR86. We're away. And that is a good start from Bo Albert and from Lachlan Capel, but unfortunately Cody Death was a bit slow on the uptake. He's having to block the cars behind him to try and keep them behind, but Matt Morris manages to sneak through on the inside as they come into turn 1. Albert and Capel are line astern, but Ben Holliday manages to put one up on Stuart Ellis. Sebastian Flock and Matt Morris just in behind them. Cody Death is now back to 8th place. That's a big shame for him. He's got to be very careful, as there's a car off there as they make their way into the NASCAR turn. That is Caleb Hydes, who has gone off the racetrack, and it looks like a little bit of contact there back in the field. For the most part, though, looks like the majority of the drivers have made their way cleanly through here, and just as I say that, there is a big crash in the midfield. Oh dear, it's gotten worse. Man, Eddie Beswick making contact with Dylan Shepherd, and Shepherd's been sent right off as there's packs of cars going through, all through the field into the S's for the first time.
Yeah, they're 2, 3 wide coming into the S's, and it's just chaos at the back. But up the front, relatively smooth, and Bo Abbott would be pretty happy with his start. Lachlan Capel doing a great job to stay on his back. Oh, we've got more chaos at the back as well. As another car, Josh Thomas out into the fence, and Callan Arthur into the grass. And Bailey Sweeney trying to take a bit of an excursion to visit the old oak tree spot as well. So a few cars looking a little bit worse for wear after this first lap, Brian.
Yeah.
Reese, sorry.
Yep, indeed.
Looking at Ryan Jones.
No worries. We also saw Cody Deeth making a move on Thomas Hinz at Oak Tree, so that's at least one position back there for the championship leader. The safety car has been called. That incident that you referred to is likely the cause of that, Braden. So we've got plenty of heavily damaged cars out there and a couple that aren't able to make it back to the pits on their own. So a safety car here in race 1. That means that the laps of racing will be reduced dramatically. We were only going to get 5 if the race stayed green all the way through. Now it looks like we'll probably only get 3 laps worth of racing.
Yeah, well, we said it's going to be a sprint format, and there's not much more of a sprint than 3 laps of racing, is there? It's really interesting to note Cody Deeth, that first lap, having to fight his way in between the pack is very different to last week, where he spent pretty much the whole time out in front by himself. So be interesting to see how he goes off this restart. Off the grid, Matt Morris actually took to the pit lane exit to make a move on that front straight to get past Deeth. So definitely gloves off for that first lap.
Yeah, gloves off indeed. I see Ryan Jones making his way back to the pits down the back straight, and he is absolutely crabbing. That car is practically sideways, and looks to me like, yeah, the incident that ended up causing that, that was what actually sent Bailey Sweeney off. A very close pack of cars. Sweeney, already having trouble from earlier contact, got caught on the grass, and then there was just a big crush, and Ryan Jones was a ping pong ball for a couple of seconds, and that created the big incident. You see just how much trouble he's having keeping control of that thing.
We're going to take a quick VRS replay of that incident. As you can see Ryan Jones right in the middle of this pack, as I was talking about, 2, 3 wide, and then you see them coming up through the S's.
There's Sweeney at the front. You see that he's already having trouble keeping that car going, and then Ryan thinks, oh dear, where am I going to go? Has some side-by-side contact, sends Sweeney off, and then spirals back across the racetrack. Heavy contact with quite a few cars there.
Yeah, there's a passenger at that point, isn't there? Not really much Ryan could have done, but that's going to be unfortunate for his night. It's going to make it really difficult now, having to crawl his way back from pretty much the back of the field. As you said earlier, progressive grids for race 2 and 3. It's going to make his life very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, safety car in this lap we're hearing. It's only been out for a single lap, and Dan Yeaman in the McLaren 570S GT4 is now going at full chat down the back stretch to give the drivers some time here to make their way to the start. We have 12 drivers on Zoom here. Of course, Caleb Hides, Bo Albert, Dan Stevens and Shane Bowen on the top row. Then we've got Thomas Hinz, Isaac Edwards, Stuart Ellis, and we've got Patrick Harding as well on the middle row, and then Sebastian Flock, Lachlan Capel, Gavin Barber and Cody Deeth on your bottom row, left to right. So hopefully we'll get some chances to see what's happening on the drivers' faces as they attempt to wrestle their way around this circuit in these easy yet difficult cars to drive.
Very good way of explaining it. Easy, but very, very difficult at times. All right, we see Bo Albert now has control of the field, and see when he's going to go, and can Lachlan Capel stay with him. It's going to be an interesting battle into turn 1. Plenty of draft. Maybe Bo will try and hold off as long as he can to try and negate some of that draft that Capel can get on this long pit straight. And it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to wait and wait and wait and make the field wait. And then he's going to go. Away he goes.
Yep, waited until pit entry to get that done. And it looks like another slightly poor start for Cody Deeth as it's side by side just behind him. Thomas Hinz there trying to sneak up the inside of Matt Morris. And they make their way into turn one. Hinsey with the inside line just gets ahead of Matt Morris there. We also see a pass by Josh Fitt on Adam Briggs in the Simrigs.com DPR car. Of course, Adam Briggs driving for Synergy now, and Simrigs.com DPR were his old team. Let's see what they can do then into this slow section of the circuit. Round the outside tries Briggs to get back at his old teammate, and goodness me, they make side-by-side contact, and oh, it gets a little worse. Josh Fitz sent off the circuit, and his steering might be a bit wonky after that one.
Yeah, we were talking about gloves off, and that was definitely gloves off, elbows out, and the cars behind showing no mercy and pushing their way through as well. So, unfortunate spot. It was a risky move to go around the outside there. You don't see many people get the job done there, but he did a great job to finish off the move and stick it up the inside at the next right-hander.
Indeed, but oh, it almost goes wrong for Tom Freer as he nearly spins off, just catching the grass on entry there as we make our way into Oak Tree. What can Wayne Burke do now to find his way past his Synergy teammate Adam Briggs, who's now carrying a slight bit of damage to the front of his car? Nice battle pack up ahead of them as well. That is the battle for the top four at the moment. Stuart Ellis, Cody Deeth, Sebastian Flock, and Thomas Hinz all involved in this fight. And we'll see just how much the slipstream is worth us. That's a big dive around the outside for Cody Deeth, and Stuart Ellis just manages to pull it up and give him room around the outside. And that has backed everyone up behind them. A little bit of an advantage now to Cody Deeth as, oh, Ben Holiday, he's just gone off ahead out of Hogpen. That old dive and change of direction, unsettling the car again. Holiday is absolutely spiraling down the field.
Yeah, and Josh Fitt in a similar situation going through the roller coaster, also off the track and rear-ending the tyre bundle as we got more contact towards the back of the field coming into Hogpen as well. It looks like it's Patrick Harding and quite catch the other car there, but we've got some more incidents. We have gone white flag, so this will be the last racing lap of the first race, and it's still Bo Albert leading the way.
Indeed, and Lachlan Capel just missing the apex of NASCAR turn there, which gives Albert a little bit more of an advantage. Meanwhile, all on the defense is Sebastian Flock, with Thomas Hinz now trying to line him up here with a bit of a late apex. Slow and fast out. Let's see what this is worth here as Hinsey now tries to make his way past and into fourth place. Got a slight draft here on Flock, but it's one line only through this section, the S's. Hinsey's going to have to wait for the back straight, I think, to make his move.
Yeah, he's going to flick himself through this left-hander, hopefully get a nice run and stay nice and close as we go into the old Oak Tree Bend. Be interesting to see if he wants to make that move at the end of this straight.
Oh, just out of frame, Wayne Burke. He's gone off the circuit at Oak Tree, tried to make his way past Stuart Ellis and just completely outbraked himself. So that's a massive loss of positions on the final lap there for Burkey. Meanwhile, you see the checkered flag will just about come out here. And Bo Albert with a comfortable lead over Lachlan Capel. Comfortable enough, I suppose. Capel is still there to take advantage if Albert makes a mistake. But let's see how they go through Hogpen. Nice and smooth, the both of them, and they managed to make it work. So Bo Albert finally, after missing the opportunity in the first round of the championship, will take victory here in race one of round two of the Summer of GR86. Good stuff there from him, but there's more stuff going on behind.
Yeah, there's a mess at the back. Matt Morris and Aiden Coote, who were leading, I believe, the amateur class, have both had issues coming through the roller coaster and into Hogpen as well. So plenty of action at the back of the field as well, as it looks like Kobe Williams is going to pick off Aiden Coote there just before the line, and he's had enough of that slow in, slow out GR86 and says no more for you in this race.
Indeed. Well, did the job, got the car across the line at least. So that's the end of the first race here, and we'll go almost immediately into race two. We'll go through our results first. Finishing in first place, of course, was Bo Albert. Then we had Cable and Deeth rounding out the podium. Sebastian Flock and Thomas Hinz. There was no change for position there between them in the end. Stuart Ellis comes home in 6th with Beswick, Briggs, Freer and Bowden, your top 10 from the first race.
That's right. And Shane Bowen is our first of the top next 10. Josh Lane and Matt Morris, P12 and 13. Sean Doyle, Liam Hides, Dan Stevens, Dylan Shepherd, Ben Holiday, Wayne Burke after some issues in that race, and Kobe Williams round out your top 20.
21st place was Aidan Coote after that late error, with Cameron Stubber coming across the line behind him. Craig Anspatch and Adam Hill Motion 23rd and 24th. Then we had Smith and Lehman crossing the line very close together, with Caleb Hides and Bailey Sweeney coming home as well, 27th and 28th after their incidents on lap 1. Isaac Edwards and Grant Matterford round out the top 30.
Alan Arthur, Chris Barnes and Joshua Thomas in P31, 32 and 33. Josh fit after an incident field race, and as well as Ryan Jones in P34 and 35. Ryan Jones obviously having that big lap 1 wreck, leaving his car, crabbing his way back to the pit lane. Pat Oliver, Ryan Green, Patrick Harding, Matthew Brunt and Gav Barber rounding out your top 40, with Brunt and Gav Barber the first of our lap down cars.
Indeed, David Leslie and Tyson Broad also not having great luck. Broad retiring from that race. We are in the midst now of the gridding period for the second race. Only 26 seconds to go, and we shall see the drivers will be able to negotiate as we get a very quick replay here before things go live. Hopefully we have enough time to see this incident through to its conclusion. Yeah, we actually do. My apologies. So here is Aidan Coote at the front of this battle. I believe that's Morris behind him. And oh my goodness, I think that's Eddie Beswick, who's gone for a late dive at the roller coaster corner and taken both drivers off.
Yeah, well, and there's more action in the back. As you see, Kobe Williams, I think it is, getting involved in the incident as well. That late dive was very reminiscent of one of the late dives we saw in race 1 early last week as well. Just sort of came from nowhere. I don't think either Aidan Coote or Matt Morris would have been expecting that one around the outside. Yeah.
All right. Well, either way, we are getting ready to go here. And thinking about drivers who are somewhat out of position, we've got drivers like Eddie Beswick, who, despite his involvement in that incident, will start P7 for the second race. We've got Ben Holiday, of course, looking for a bit of redemption here. He started 3rd for race 1, but ended up finishing in 18th after his solitary mistake coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got some people further down the field, like Ryan Jones, who started 25th and is going to have to come back from 35th after that big incident in race 1, as well as, I've just lost my way there. Oh yeah, Tyson Broad, who started 18th and was unfortunately, like you said, a retirement down in 40 seconds. So it's going to be hard work to come back from there.
Yeah, that it will. But Bo Albert has it all to play for here, starting on pole position, and with already 1 win under his belt tonight, might he be able to do a Cody Deeth and take all 3 race wins available tonight? That is the big question. 15 minutes is how long this consolation race is going to be, and that's projected to be about 8 laps. So we'll see whether or not there's any other safety car interventions to bring that lap count down. It's still a very short amount of time to work with.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if Lachlan Capel can find that extra little bit of speed he needs to try and get past very clinical Bo Albert, it must be said, in that first race. Didn't really have too many dramas, and I'm sure he would have been looking in the back of his rear vision mirror and just seeing a lot of smoke and cars off everywhere. So hopefully we can have a bit of a cleaner start to this race and get a few more cars home.
Yeah, I certainly hope so too. Very big field in this series, and Rooskogen Motor Center was a very short, small track comparatively when you put it next to VIR. Very closely spaced corners, but there's a bit more space between braking zones on a track like this. Last few seconds then, Albert has joined the grid, and we'll see what Lachlan Capel can do to try and get past him on lap 1. We also got some news from Cody Deeth saying in the InSim text chat that he has no clutch. So that's probably part of the reason why he wasn't able to get a very good start in the first race. Well, I'll be keeping my eye on him as the revs rise and we get ready to go green. The black car is Cody Deeth, Bo Albert starting on the front. We're away once again, and yeah, that lack of clutch really not working out for Cody Deeth there. He is probably going to lose third on the way into turn 1 as Sebastian Flock gets a slightly better start, but Deeth will still have the inside. He'll have to drive very aggressively to keep it. Albert and Capel in order through the first turn, and Thomas Hinz making his way past Eddie Beswick coming out of the first corner.
Yeah, you can see a car off in the background there. I didn't quite catch who it is, but again, these front two sort of showing their class at the moment and starting to skip away. Deeth, although, will have a nice draft as he gets himself into position and heading back up towards through the snake and through the S's. Oh, it's very tight on the inside there. And look at that, too wide, two cars right next to each other, but getting through unscathed, which is more than we can say about race 1.
Indeed. It looked like Aidan Coote in the bright yellow machine just had to take to the grass to avoid contact. Already seeing some big damage on Ben Holliday's car. It looks like he made some heavy contact with another car in the opening corners. Well, we keep our eyes peeled on this battle for the top 5. Thomas Hinz on the back of Stuart Ellis here on the way to Oak Tree, and Ellis goes for a spin. He is off. There's that telltale smoke, and Stuart Ellis still just out of frame. There he is. Recovering on the grass, but re-entering the racetrack reasonably safely. At least they knew he was coming. But that's unfortunate there for Stuart.
Yeah, you can just see one little mistake and it doesn't just cost you 1 or 2 positions, it costs you 10, 15, maybe more, as we got 3 wide down the back straight here, just behind Stuart Ellis into roller coaster. That may not go well if they don't sort themselves out beforehand.
Yeah, this doesn't look good. On the way in, we already see some contact happening there. Looks like Bailey Sweeney and Dan Stevens as the side-by-side works out between Stuart Ellis and Craig Anspatch there. Well then, lap 1 complete, and it's not the same story up the front, because have a look at the run that Cody Deeth has got on Lachlan Capel coming out of Hogpen. He's going to go up the inside into the first turn here, vaults his way into the corner, pulls it up on the apex, but runs a little bit deep. That almost gives Lachlan Capel another way back past, but looks like Cody has the power in the right foot.
And there's cars everywhere at the back of the field at the moment. There were cars taken to the grass, and we've had another big crash. Oh, this could be another safety car. There's 5, 6, 7, maybe more cars towards the entry to NASCAR Bend.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't quite catch who started that, but oh no, that looks like Ryan Jones.
Oh, it's gotten worse again.
Maybe not, yeah. Oh dear.
It looks like Grant Matterford got caught up in all of that. We'll likely be able to get a replay of that at some point, but you see all the drivers just trying to recover. You see the 15 there. Race on Oz machine of Isaac Edwards getting involved in all of that. All right. Now, let's see briefly what happened to Matt Holliday to get that damage to his front end. It apparently happened on the race start. So everyone is together here. This is when the cars are at their closest, when you're just taking the green flag, and Holliday looking for a way through here. There's no way through, and he just gets on the brakes a little bit too late there. Either that or the driver in front of him got on the brakes earlier than he expected. And so that is some very heavy nose to rear contact for Mr. Holliday, and he is still mired in the midfield at the moment. He is down in 15th position at the moment. Meanwhile, here's Thomas Hinz, still holding on to 5th place now. managed to find his way past Sebastian Flock, I believe, and we'll see what they can do. Sorry, he's actually in 4th. Sorry, my timing screen is not working with me at the moment. There's been a problem for Sam Lehman, and he's gone back to the pits, and that messed up my timing a little bit. We go over the line to start lap 3, and Hinzy's going to have to go defensive here versus Flock. And also late on the brakes is Adam Briggs. Flock has gone a bit too deep there, run wide, and that's going to allow Briggs through on the exit.
Yeah. Just while we're at that replay, there was so much going on. I was just trying to work my way through it to see exactly what was going on. But poor old Bailey Sweeney, I reckon he spent more time on the grass than he has on the tarmac this race. He's been shunted left, right, and centre. But the battle at the front just keeps heating up, and Thomas Hin's doing a great job to keep, I think it was Adam Briggs behind him. And the battle for the lead is now on at the front with Deeth taking it right up to Bo Albert and showing the nose through the S's. This is a dangerous spot to poke your nose in, because one little mistake at this speed could cost you.
Yeah, absolutely. And these cars are a bit fragile when it comes to side-by-side contact. So, oh, have a look at that. That's a big dive. That's like Lewis Hamilton on Kimi Räikkönen at the 2007 Italian Grand Prix. And he's through into the lead. They both just catch the dirt, though. That hurts their exit a little bit. And this could allow Lachlan Capel a chance to make his way past them. These top 3 drafting off each other at the moment. The drivers from 4th on back are not going to have a chance here, but Albert takes advantage of the slipstream and manages to get just about ahead of Cody Deeth on the way into the roller coaster. A slight bump from the back by Lachlan Capel, but Albert will go into the roller coaster nicely. So will Deeth, defending against Capel. Fantastic fight going on here.
Yeah, and if they keep fighting, that will be music to the ears of Thomas Hins and the chasing cars behind. If they can sort of stay line astern and try not to cause too much drama, they might be a chance to catch this pack, but they're going to need a little bit of luck, and they're going to need a little bit of battling from the 3 up in podium positions.
Albert now defensive versus Cody Deeth. Up at the front of the field, and Deeth sneaks through on the inside. He's going to go for it, go for the lead at turn 1 as we focus on Hinsey defending from Adam Briggs. Cody Deeth is through into the race lead once again. Outbraking maneuver there from Bo Albert. It seems those very late and very decisive moves are Deeth's strength at the moment. Albert, though, very consistent, keeping himself in the fight as Flock is alongside here. Mr. Briggs and also Eddie Beswick as well, who's managed to keep himself in this top 10 battle. A big slide, meanwhile, from Adam Briggs, and Thomas Hins gets up the inside of Beswick on the exit, but Eddie's going to try and hold it here. Hinsey's compromised, and that's going to allow Tom Freer a chance, meanwhile, and car 707 to come through. Watching on is Sebastian Flock, who got absolutely blindsided by all of that.
Yeah, I guess we can say no to the line of stern and trying to chase the top 3, because these 4 or 5 are having a ding-dong battle themselves and not really worrying about trying to catch those front 3. So it's going to be interesting to see, or as we can see another car off there, looks like it was Eddie Beswick going a little bit wide into the Oak Tree turns.
Double view here of various battles going on. It's a first and second battle on the right, and we have that battle going on behind on the left-hand side, side by side between Freer and Beswick, and Hinsey getting a great draft there, as you see on the left side of the screen. Hinsey back up into 6th, but Beswick is going to try and fight it here into roller coaster. Hinsey has to give him room, and Sebastian Flock is still right in it. They've got a trio of cars trying to make up time as well. Shane Bowen and I was going to say Matt Morris and Wayne Burke, but they've both made mistakes coming out of roller coaster and had to take trips into the grass. All right. Now Eddie Beswick has to try and fend these guys off onto lap 5, and it looks like the leaders are about to go 3 wide into the turn 1 braking zone. Goodness me. Big defense from Cody Deeth. Albert trying in the middle and Lachlan Capel on the outside. They go through the first turn in the same order that they entered it. Tom Freer now at the front of this fight here for 5th. Adam Briggs is starting to drive away from them as they continue to battle amongst themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly what he'll be hoping. If they can just keep meddling, he might be able to sneak away. And we've got Matt Morris in another incident towards the back of the field through NASCAR Bend, getting a little shove and ending up on the grass. As we see Cody Death reclaiming his position at the front of the field that he really enjoyed having so much last week. But this week he's going to have two cars battling with him, and the form of Bo Albert and Lachlan Capel, whereas last week he had it all to himself.
Indeed. Well, Death is managing to... Oh, that is sketchy. He's managing to keep himself ahead and by a car length or two, which will help him when they get to the straight. They're about to come up on their first bit of lap traffic as well. That's Sam Lehman in the Echuca Toyota entry just up ahead. Let's see how easy he makes it for our race leaders to go through. They might not catch up to him in time, but we can see that Cody Death is on the headlight flash, trying to alert Lehman to the situation. The battle for fourth, meanwhile, it looks like Thomas Hins is about to try and get Eddie Beswick for sixth there. And Briggsy none the wiser as he continues to make his way through. Ooh, Lehman's gone off there at Roller Coaster, but he's going to stay well off the racetrack and allow our leaders to continue through. Some excellent racing going on here, as we just saw Sam Lehman for a moment in the background there. Hinsey is now keeping his car a little bit slower on the way into the hog pen to get a run on Eddie Beswick, and Shane Bowen's gone off as well in the Cobalt car. That is a long trip through the grass for anyone.
Yeah, and it takes so long to get back on the track here. The traction control of these cars does not enjoy being out there, that's for sure. As we see Bo Albert trying to get something of a switchback around the outside and then ducking back, but Cody Death has that covered as they come into NASCAR Bend. And Lachlan Capel's just stalking both of these drivers at the moment, hoping one of them or both of them will make a mistake.
Yep, good exit for Death, good exit for Albert. Same story for Capel. So the top three very well matched at the moment. The best Albert and Capel can hope for is an uninterrupted slipstream down the back straight, and Cody Death not able to pull out a gap in the turns. That is the one way that they'll be able to preserve a potential race victory here. 3.5 minutes left on the clock, which means that next lap is going to be the final lap, I'm pretty sure. We'll have to wait and see, though. I'm getting confirmation that it will be. So not much time left for Albert to put on an attack here on Cody Death and try to make it 2 from 2 tonight. Battle for the AM lead, meanwhile, on the bottom of your screen. And it is getting very feisty. Up the track goes Aiden Coote. Oh, my goodness. Sean Doyle in the midst of all of this. He's a... got to be careful. Kobe Williams, actually, in the bright green machine. He has a Pro Class car. And, well... they've worked things out there, haven't they? Josh Lane is fighting with Aiden Coote for the AM class lead, and looks like that gap will be decreasing sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and Matt Morris tagging on the back of that as well. So the top three in the AM class just separated by 1 second. So could have some fireworks on this last lap with the AM class, as well as the three at the front looking for the win in the Pro class.
All right, 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go, and Albert has gotten a great run out of Hogpen. He will have the outside for turn 1, though. Oh no, no white flag. They crossed the line with more than a lap's worth of time remaining, so it is going to be 2 laps to go here. So a little bit more time. We are going to go the full projected 8-lap distance here. And Death is having to look over his shoulder at every single braking zone. He's turning in early to NASCAR Bend to try and get some more momentum on Bo Albert. It's all about the exit from this right-hander. You've got to keep the power pinned over that curb and keep the momentum. And it's worked out lovely there for Cody Death.
Yeah, he's sort of stamped his authority on this group at the moment, not giving a lot of hope to the couple behind, but they're sticking with him. So be interesting to see if they're just biding their time now, waiting for this last lap to try and get the move done, as we've got more action at the back towards the lead of the amateur class. And that looks like a sad looking GR86 that missing a bonnet. I reckon we'll get a chance to have a replay of that at some point soon, as we just cross back to the leaders once again. Cody Death still heading off this pack of 3.
Indeed. Got to take it easy. We'll get a replay of what happened. It was Sean Doyle versus Kobe Williams just up ahead of Aiden Coote, and he got caught up in that incident. And that was no fault of Kobe Williams. He did stick the nose up the inside, but Sean Doyle lost the rear on his own, it seems. Alrighty then. 40 seconds to go. And the top 3 are still very close. They will be able to make it to the line in time for the final lap. What can Death do to get any more of a gap than he already has? It seems impossible at this stage. The straights are so long that the draft is worth so much, no matter how good you are through the turns.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how aggressive Lachlan Capel is going to be on this last lap. He's just sat in P3 this whole time, hasn't really shown a nose, hasn't really looked to make a move. Maybe he's saving up all that courage for this last lap. As you see the white flag getting waved, and we don't have to worry about too wide at the front here, but it looks like we might have some too wide action in the pack going behind. Oh, as Sebastian Flock makes a late dive, almost getting it wrong.
Yeah, it looks like Eddie Beswick has managed to hook him up on corner exit as well. This fight is still going on for 4th and 5th on back. These guys are incredibly close. Freya now is ahead of Briggs. It looks like there was a bit of a swap there between the Synergy teammates. Now, Thomas Hins sees an opportunity here to get by 2 Synergy cars on the final lap of the race. And we look a little bit further forward. Bo Albert still on the back of Cody Death. Will he be able to get it done here on the final lap? Making the pass at Oak Tree is probably an ill-advised maneuver because Death will have the entire straight to get him back. If Albert wants to win, it has to be a dive at Roller Coaster. So this is where it's defined. The exit from Oak Tree. Oh, Death almost backed them up a little bit. He went wide there in Oak Tree, and Albert and Capel couldn't get on the throttle like they wanted.
Yeah, and you can see him starting to weave across that straight, try and break some of that draft, but Bo Albert is right up on his tail. And it looks like out of anyone, it might be Lachlan Capel who suffered the most out of that exit on Oak Tree. Will he be able to get the move done before he gets to Roller Coaster? He can, so that's great work from Bo Albert using the draft there, and he just needs to hold his line now, and he should be okay through to the end, unless we've got some more tricks up our sleeve from Cody Death.
Yeah, well, Albert is going to try and make his GR86 the widest in the state of Virginia. Death, though, gets a slightly better exit out of Hogpen, but it's negated by the time they get to the straight. Will they cross the line side by side? Not too sure. Looks like it's going to be line astern. Bo Albert is going to cross the line and win the second race here, but an excellent fight from Cody Death and Lachlan Capel. Definitely had to work for it that time. Excellent stuff. And it looks like Aiden Coote, despite the damage that he suffered, is going to come across the line to take the AM win in race 2 here.
Yeah, he's going to take that one away from Josh Lane. And Ryan Jones has done a great job to get himself up to P3 in the amateur class after the misfortunes of the first race.
Yeah, very, very good stuff from almost all of the drivers out there tonight. There are the results then. Albert, Death, Capel, Freer and Briggs are your top 5. Thomas Hins finished in 6th ahead of Eddie Beswick and Sebastian Flock. Rob Bowden getting into the top 10 once more with a 9th place. And Wayne Burke definitely vaulting his way up from his starting position. 9 spots gained to finish in 10th.
Yeah, Ben Holiday, our newest pro driver in P11. Aiden Coote, as we said, taking the win for the amateur class from Sean Doyle in P13. Josh Lane and Ryan Jones being your podium positions for the AMP class as well in P14 and 15. Kobe Williams, who was certainly in a lot of action in P16. Shane Bowen, Chris Barnes, Stuart Ellis, and Tyson Broad rounding out your top 20.
Williams made it back to his original qualifying position for race 1. Ryan Green finishes in 21st place. Cameron Stubber behind him. And then we have Pat Oliver and Josh Thomas separated by only 5/10 at the very end. And Liam Hydes ahead of Josh Fitt and Bailey Sweeney, who crossed the line a second apart. Matt Morris, Grant Matterford and Craig Anspatch rounding out the top 30 cars.
Adam Hill Motion, Jorgen Smith and David Leslie, P31, 32 and 33. Patrick Harding and Gav Barber, P34 and 35. Matthew Brunt in the wars again in P36. Dylan Shepard, 37. Dan Stevens, 38. Isaac Edwards, P39. And our first car on the lap down. And then Callan Arthur also a lap down in P40.
Yep, Sam Lehman also came across the line a lap down, and Caleb Hydes was not able to make it to the finish. Looks like he was involved in one of the incidents that happened on the opening lap. So that's going to round out the results and our grid for the third race. The drivers have a 5-minute warm-up session to make their way through before we can go racing one more time. On that note, we're going to take a very short break here on SimSpeed TV. When we come back, we will have that 20-minute third race. I'm Reese Gardner, it's Braden Martin with me and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. We'll see you again very soon, but do not go away. More action coming up shortly.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching SimSpeed TV. It's the AOG Summer of GR86, the second round from VIR. Already had two very action-packed races with close battles for the lead in both, and we're expecting more of the same for this 20-minute final race of the night. Once again, a progressive grid. Reese Gardner and Braden Martin with you, and Braden, Bro Albert's managed to make it 2 from 2, but Cody Deeth has gotten back on his feet, and will definitely be giving him just as hard of a race this time.
Yeah, it's really, really good to see a battle up front after last week. Cody Deeth sort of running away from a little bit. It's nice to see Bo taking it to him, and we've had some really close racing.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this because, I mean, the racing up the front has certainly been nice and clean, but the further back you get in the field, the more likely it is you're going to be involved in an incident, it seems. So, got to take care, and with a longer race here for the third and final of the night, I think drivers will be just taking it a little bit easier through the opening turns. There's VIR is a narrow enough track as it is, and with 40 plus GR86s grumbling around it, it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's tight, it's twisty. There's plenty of draft, and there's plenty of places that people want to stick their nose in where sometimes they're not really wanted, and that's what often causes some of the chaos. And you can see just how big this field is as we look all the way from the front with Bo Albert, and then you peer your way back along that screen and you see the amount of GR86s we have all the way back to the back of the field with, I think it might be Sam Lehman down there.
Yeah, indeed. As the revs rise, looks like things are getting off to a start very quickly here. Albert versus Deeth on the front row, but I'm thinking Lachlan Capel might be able to go into second. Cody Deeth immediately moves over to block him, and Capel forced to the outside for turn 1. Deeth well aware of the clutch issues that he's having, so had to take some desperate measures for that. Sticks to the inside through the first corner, but they make contact, and Lachlan Capel is sent around, and oh dear, the entire field is coming through. He's going to have some major damage from that. Oh dear, don't know if race control is going to want to take a look at that one, because that was a slight tap that ended up graduating into an even bigger incident.
Yeah, and there's more going on at the back. I think Lachlan's been caught up into another incident as well, and he's seen himself spinning off into the grass at NASCAR, so he's had a real rough start to this race, which is going to be music to the ears of Albert and Deeth, but it's actually Free who's managed to peek his way in between the both of them, and he's actually up in second now. So after starting the first race in around about P17 or 18, he's now up to P2. Oh, and there's more action at the back here as well.
Yeah, Jorgen Smith involved in an incident there and getting things started once more. And some side-by-side action here. It looks like we've got Aiden Coote right in the midst of this. Goodness me, as they make their way through the S's. Coote was one of the drivers involved in the big incident out of turn 1, and he's managed to clear them as it's side-by-side between Dylan Shepherd and David Leslie. Shepherd, of course, looking to recover after some poor luck in the first couple of races. Out of Oak Tree and onto the back stretch, as unfortunately David Leslie forced a bit wide and had to give some room to Matthew Brunt. Look at this up ahead though. This is some insane racing going on here. Ben Holiday has managed to work his way into the top 10, and oh no, his teammate Broad sent right off the circuit and heavy into the tyre barriers. That is massive contact there, and it looks like Tyson Broad is out of this one. Big shame for him. Can he get it back going? Otherwise, we might see a safety car.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we will with a heavy front-on contact like that. That could be engine gone. You can see Josh Fitt also off the track, sitting on the
safety
side.
car.
Yep, there we go. Just as we thought, the engine in that drop bear and Cosi Motorsport car is probably a little bit worse for wear.
Yeah, and that is right in the braking zone for a roller coaster, which is very difficult to get right as it is. So it's very dangerous to leave a car there while drivers are trying to race their way through that section. And if you're wondering, oh, why doesn't Tyson just escape back to the pits? Well, he's not allowed to. There's a no escape rule on the races at AOG. So you have to wait for race control's permission. Now, what happened here? Just side-by-side contact there that sucked Tyson Broad into the side of... I can't quite remember who the driver was involved there.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky. I'm not sure if the engine did completely go there. I thought he went in more head-on, but he did seem to get it on a little bit more of a side angle, but obviously still too much damage to return himself to the pits, and that's brought out the safety car.
Yeah, it has indeed. Well, now the drivers will have to bring things back down in intensity here as we now wait for the safety car to pick up the field. Bo Albert, and looks like Cody Deeth has made his way back into second now as a result of that. Looks like Stuart Ellis was the driver that Tyson Broad made contact with, and I can't quite figure who would be at fault for that incident, because I do see Stuart Ellis just go to the left a tiny little bit, but at the same time, it looks like Tyson Broad moved a ever so slight bit to the right. So race control have got their work cut out for them, trying to determine who is at fault for that.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky ones when you're side by side and everyone's so close, and at that high speed as you come into the roller coaster section, it only takes one little error of judgment on either driver's part, and that's what can happen.
All right, on board with Ben Holiday then for this virtual racing school replay, and we see that Broad got a mammoth exit and great slipstream out of Oak Tree. And now keep an eye here on Stuart Ellis as they come down to the dip. You'll see him jerk to the left just a little bit there right before the contact is made.
Yeah, and you can see off into the tyre barrier for that lovely looking drop bear car. It's quite unfortunate. I tell you who wouldn't have been all that thrilled to see the safety car out is probably Bo Albert, because he had managed to get himself a little bit of a break at the front of the field due to the issues with Lachlan Capel. Not been a great race for the drop bear cars, in fact, this third one, but he would be disappointed, as I think we're going to get another look here. Another onboard of Ryan Green. He saw all of the action closing up on the back of the cars.
Okay. And, oh, yeah, from that point of view, it doesn't look very good for Stuart Ellis. And we'll keep watching, because there was actually further issues, a bit of a wiggle there in roller coaster, and oh no, that took out the Simrix.com DPR car as well. Huge shame there. But once again, it's a case of an incident just snowballing into something bigger.
Yeah, it can happen with these big fields, especially with, you know, some of these tight, twisty sections. There's not exactly a lot of room to get out of the way, and then you end up on the grass, and you don't have a lot of control over your car when you're out there either. So, like we said, one little mistake can turn into a big error for the rest of the field and can cause a lot of damage to these lovely new Toyota GR86s.
Indeed. Well, considering the way laps go under safety car, it looks like we're looking at about 3 minutes and 40 seconds or thereabouts for a safety car lap, and we're halfway through now. So that would basically mean that if the safety car is in this lap, which I'm not sure if it will be, we'll be looking at going green again with less than 10 minutes remaining in the race, which means we'll only probably get about another 4 laps worth of action here.
Yeah, it's going to make this longer race turned into even more of a sprint race again, as we have a look at our Zoom feed for tonight. Bo Albert enjoying himself at the front there, having a chat to what can only be presumed as some teammates in his Discord, and Dan Stevens and
Was he
Shane
having a vape?
I didn't want to bring it up, but I think he may have been, yeah. Thomas Hinds in the top right-hand corner. He's got a very serious-looking face on tonight. Lots of action in front of his car.
Yeah, indeed. Hinsley's been right in the thick of the action, hasn't he? Isaac Edwards, meanwhile, on a bit of a recovery drive with Stuart Ellis still continuing on after his involvement in the incident that took out Tyson Broad. I'm still hesitant to put blame on one driver over the other in that one. And, well, there's plenty to come in this race. Lachlan Capel will be hoping that he can salvage some kind of result out of this. Where is Capel actually? He's down in 34th place behind Ryan Jones. The safety car has actually helped him a bit. He'll be able to at least try and get a few more positions before the race is over, now that the gaps have been closed.
Yeah, that's right. He will be glad that this safety car has gone on a little bit longer than the first one, doing a second lap here at least, although the owners of that McLaren probably won't be as happy with the extra kilometres being racked up on that beautiful looking AOG machine at the front after not even getting a run in last week.
Indeed. First safety cars of the season have been seen here at VIR, and the lights are still flashing. When they stop flashing, the safety car will pull away. It's already been announced by race control that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap, so they've still got a bit to go before they can get back to the action. But have a look at just how long of a stream of cars that is. That wide shot through the S's is one of my favorites around this track, because in a big field like this, you're able to see just about everyone going through that snake.
Yeah, and probably going through Bo Albert's mind at the moment is, what does he do for this restart? It's the second one of the night. Does he use the same tactic, trying to wait and wait and wait and hope that the draft is negated by that late safety car restart? Or does he try something different and maybe try and take the rest of the field by surprise? I'm leaning towards probably a very similar restart to the last one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Bo Albert will probably wait until one of the last opportunities. And we'll see that there's Lachlan Capel. He's just coming into Oak Tree as the leaders are halfway to 2/3 down the back straight. So that's how much ground he has to make up in just 4, maybe 5 laps. It's going to be pretty much impossible for him to take the win from this point, but he might stand a chance at getting a top 10 if there's a big incident in front of him. We've already seen that happen quite a few times tonight.
That's it. Safety cars away. The field is now in the control of our leader, Bo Albert, who's already had one successful safety car restart tonight. Let's see if he can do it again. So they make their way through roller coaster and down the undulating curves of this Virginia International Raceway into Hogpen to set up this restart of this race.
Let us see what Bo Albert does as he makes his way out of Hogpen. He's not going to go for an... Oh, actually he is. He goes for an early start. Hard on the power out of Hogpen, and you can see that Cody Deeth was taken a little bit by surprise there. Albert is going to carry that momentum all the way down to turn 1, but it looks very tight behind. Have a look at this. Thomas Hinz side by side with Wayne Burke, and Ben Holiday trying to find his way up the inside with more damage to his front, and he gets into the back of Hinzy on the way into the braking zone, unsettles him a little bit, and Rob Bowden now having to defend from Wayne Burke, who tries around the outside of the first turn here. Oh, take it easy, boys. NASCAR turn is a place where a lot of incidents tend to happen. Bowden and Burke side by side on the way into the left-hander, and it looks like Burke has managed to get the momentum done there. Bowden's going to yield to him as they make their way through. Unfortunately, that also backs up Thomas Hinz, Ben Holiday, and Stuart Ellis.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of an incident at the back. Sebastian Flock got himself turned around a little bit, but no harm done for the rest of the field. As Ryan Jones is also lost it in the background there as well. He's not having a great night at all. Tell you what, Reese, I had 2 50-50s tonight. There was 2 orange cars, and I picked Ryan when it was Grant, and then I had a 50-50 on the restart, and oh, no. Oh. Ignore me for the time being. That is a big crash.
Oh, that's a big ouchie right there. The safety car's been brought back out as a result of that. Oh, my Lord. Got a drop bear car involved. I think that's Sebastian Flock as well. It was Lachlan Capel. Lachlan Capel is that drop bear car. So this is going to require a bit of dissecting. There was quite a bit of drama going on, and it was actually a separate incident ahead. yeah, we're going to have to pick this one apart. So, on our way into our next virtual racing school replay, I can see that David Leslie and Kobe Williams were the cars that started this incident just out of the snake. There was side-by-side contact between the two of them that ended up creating this incident. We'll see it as it happened here. Thanks to Virtual Racing School, David Leslie trying to hold the outside, but Williams makes contact with him. Leslie spears across the grass and then gets right into Cal and Arthur, and that just sends cars spearing across the track. And watch Lachlan Capel here. Oh, goodness, he just managed to make his way through, but into the wall for him. Yeah, when there's cars stopped on the racing line, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, that's a real tough one, because once you hit that grass, you're basically a passenger, and I don't know how much there would have been that he could have done to stop that incident starting once he was on the grass, but that's caused a big problem for the rest of the field.
Yeah, indeed it has. Well, that's definitely going to be something that race control will be looking at. All these issues further back in the field. The drivers will definitely be hoping for a short safety car at this stage, because we've only got under 6 minutes to go in this race. And from this point on, if the safety car comes in at the end of this lap, we're only going to be getting 2 laps of racing.
Yeah, almost a little bit of a NASCAR green-white checker happening here. As you can see, the 2 teammates off to the right-hand side, as I think they've just got permission to tow as they disappear from our screen. I was in the middle of saying I got the other 50-50 wrong with Bo Albert attempting to go for the early safety car restart this time. So he's going to get a 3rd crack at a safety car restart. What other options does he have? And which method did he prefer? Does he go for the first safety car restart where he held the field up all the way to the line, or does he go early again? Be interesting to see what the mind games are.
Split the difference, see if that works.
Cody Deeth being very aggressive on those tyres, trying to keep them nice and warm, whereas Bo Albert's just happy sitting behind the safety car.
Yeah, we're just coming in at the end of this lap. It has just been announced. So we'll see that McLaren put the power down and pull away from the field momentarily. Albert maintaining safety car speed of about 80 k's an hour. And the weave is on there for Cody Deeth. Not too sure how much that's helping him exactly, but he'll certainly be hoping that he has a bit more to work with here to get on the attack. Tom Freer also has a shot at the win here. You could almost count Eddie Beswick in it as well, because he's managed to keep himself in the top 4 here as they come up to the roller coaster. Single file, and that will rapidly change when the green flag flies. I think pretty much anyone in this top 10 has a chance at sticking with the pack and potentially taking the win here. But at this point, it looks like it is Albert versus Deeth for the victory here. Making their way through, and we wait for the call from Bo Albert as to when he will get it going. Remember, first race, or first safety car of the night, he started at the entrance to pit lane, and then he went at this apex for the second safety car. But it looks like he's waiting again. Right on the bumper is Cody Deeth, and everyone's getting compressed here as they're waiting for Bo Albert to go. When does the green flag fly? Technically already, but Albert actually has split the difference, and he is going a bit before the start-finish line. I think that's the longest he has waited there, so didn't split the difference, my apologies. He does lead by quite a margin into turn 1 as everyone gets going again, but it is on for 3rd. Tom Freer trying to defend there from Eddie Beswick, who tried round the outside. He's going to switch to the outside for NASCAR Bend, but looks like not able to get it done. Freer defends the inside very well.
Yeah, and Freer and Beswick both up a long way from the start of this race, and to be in here with a chance to fight for the podium positions is just a great night for them. Tom Freer starting in P17 in the first race, and Beswick in P24 for the first race.
Yeah, they've vaulted their way up the order tonight, haven't they? As they come up to the S's for the 7th time, all up in this race. Got to use all of that curb to try and straight line your way through these corners. Now, does anyone make an error at the front here? Albert gets through cleanly. So does Deeth. So does Freer. And it looks like Beswick is starting to lose a little bit of ground here to Tom Freer. Has to stay within the slipstream to try and get it done. Albert using all of the road and then some on the exit of the corner.
Yep, as they make their way up this long back straight for what will probably be the second to last time tonight. And it's Bo Albert in front. It'll be interesting to see what Deeth does as he try and stick behind him, just like Bo Albert did to him last time, and try and attack on this last lap. It looks like that's what he's going to do, as we see Tom Freer showing the nose a little bit there into roller coaster, just making sure that Deeth nose is there as they come down into Hogpen for the second to last time, which will likely see us take the white flag for tonight.
Yep, minute and 15 left on the clock. They will cross the line with about a minute to go here, and that will ensure that this is the final lap. There is Barney waving the white flag, and the drivers will see that. Albert leads the way by 0.2 of a second, 0.26 if you want to be exact. And almost a late move to the inside there for Cody Deeth. As, oh goodness, going very deep in turn one is Eddie Beswick, and unfortunately that's forced Adam Briggs wide. And look at who's coming through to take advantage. Thomas Hins making up, what was that, 3 spots on the way through turn one? It's going to be 2, because Wayne Burke gets up the inside the Nasgar bend.
Yeah,
oh,
that
Beswick.
was very, very handy from Thomas Hins there. He saw that gap open, and he was straight in there with that jig shifted car of his. As we come through the snake section, work our way down to the S's. Top 3 have skipped away from this group, and it's going to be on for this final win. As it looks like Bo Albert's managed to keep himself in there. Cody Deeth is tight right up on his bumper, and it's going to be that all-important run out of Oak Tree that's going to decide this one.
Absolutely it is. Look at how hard Bo Albert is pushing and trying up the inside. Once again, another look to try and psych Bo Albert out from Cody Deeth. And diving up the inside also is Wayne Burke at Oak Tree on Eddie Beswick. Oh, just managed to make his way past, but they're going to be side by side there into the roller coaster. So now this is the prime braking zone of the lap. This is the one chance that Cody Deeth is going to have to try and get past Bo Albert cleanly. A little bit of a weave, but not too much from Bo Albert. There are the 2 protagonists here on the way into the braking zone. Deeth moves to the left side of Albert. Bo's going to have the inside for the corner. He's fighting the rear end, and Deeth has to yield. He's not been able to get it done. So now all Bo Albert has to do is make his way through these last 3 corners, and he will be able to make it 3 from 3. Oh, Cody Deeth, he spun right at the final hurdle through into Hogpen. Bo Albert is going to celebrate, because it's going to be 3 from 3 for the newly formed privateer driver.
Oh,
brilliant
no.
stuff, but things have gotten worse behind him.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Reese, but we've just seen Eddie Beswick do somewhat of a front flip. I can't see exactly who it was that pinned him up against the pit wall and straight into the tyre barrier. That was... Oh, that's lucky.
Lost
it was
the
a
rear
sim.
wing.
Yeah, it's... I think he would have lost a lot of things, including probably movements in part of his body from that one, because that was dangerous. Dangerous driving.
Yep, that deserves a replay, and we're going to be getting one. There was some very hard racing here at the back, so Beswick gets up the inside of one of the Synergy cars. That is Wayne Burke, and, well, Berkey wasn't willing to let him through. Oh, no, Briggs, my apologies. Adam Briggs not willing to let Eddie Beswick through, and that is the price paid.
Yeah, you can just see how much going back to the win there for Bo Albert, how much it meant to him after the trials and tribulations of the last round. He was ecstatic when he saw, well, it looked like it was because he saw Cody Deeth off in his rear vision mirror spinning, but I'm sure it was more to do with the fact that he's taken 3 from 3 on the night.
Indeed. Cody Deeth ultimately crossing the line in 20th after that final corner mistake. Real shame there. We're going to get one more replay here before we go to our final results. On board with Rob Bowden, you see Cody Deeth going off just up ahead, and then now there's Eddie Beswick looming up alongside him there on the right of the screen, and then the block, and Beswick's like, no, I'm going to try and come through anyway. Oh no, hang on.
I mean, it's optimistic to take to the pit lane to try and get an overtake done, but it's definitely something you probably wouldn't see too much in the real world, with some dire consequences if that had have happened. As we take a look at our results, Reese.
Indeed. Bo Albert, 3 from 3, and he'll be almost equal on points for, well, actually, no, he won't be equal on points with anyone, I think, because his failure to score for the majority of round 1 puts paid to that. But either way, Freya and Hins will complete the podium. Great job from Hinsey to make those moves in the last couple of laps. Wayne Burke crosses the line in 4th, Rob Bowden and Adam Briggs in 6th, with Ben Holiday coming home in 7th. That's a magnificent recovery there from Ben Holiday after it all went wrong for him in race 1. Stuart Ellis comes home in 8th, with Dylan Shepherd in 9th. Another great recovery from him. He started back in 37th, for goodness sake. And Ryan Green takes the AM-class victory.
Ailey Sweeney having one of his better races so far in this Summer of 86 GR86 season. In P11, Cameron Stubber P12 and Kobe Williams P13. Joshua Thomas, 2nd place in the AM class, and Sebastian Flock behind him in P15. And Chris Barnes taking out that 3rd and final podium spot for the AM class in P16. Matthew Brunt, P17, Dan Stevens, Matt Morris, and Cody Deeth falling back from that 2nd place position to only manage to come across the line in 20th.
Yep, in 21st place, Eddie Beswick, after that run-in with Briggsy coming up to the start-finish line, had to settle for that. Grant Matterford comes home in 22nd place, with 23rd going to Liam Hides. Then we had Josh Fitt and Shane Bowen behind them. Pat Oliver coming home in 26th place with Sam Lehman in 27th. That's good to get a result on the board there for Sam after a very rough night. Ryan Jones, unfortunately, getting involved in a couple of incidents again, and has to settle for 28th. Gavin Barber in 29th. And what can you say about Lachlan Cable? He was fighting for the win in race 1, race 2, and for the most part, race 3, but unfortunately, not happening for him tonight.
Isaac Edwards, Sean Doyle, Jorgen Smith, and David Leslie, P31, 2, 3, and 4, with Patrick Harding, Adam Hillmotion, Callum Arthur, Craig Anspach, Aidan Coote, and Josh Lane rounding out your top 4. Callum Arthur and Craig Anspach both down a lap, and Aidan Coote, who also seemed to be involved in everything tonight, and Josh Lane down 4 laps.
Indeed, and then bringing up the rest of our field, unfortunately Tyson Broad and Caleb Hides both having to not take part for the majority of that. Broad involved in the incident coming into roller coaster, massive contact with the tyre barriers. Now we can go briefly to driver interviews before we say goodbye, and the first driver we're going to talk to is obviously the guy who won all the races tonight, Bo Albert. After a very difficult round 1 for you, Bo, it's good to see you back in the series and definitely showing that that you can turn your pace into those results.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, round 1 was a bit of a nightmare. I'll touch on more on that later. But yeah, just nice to bounce back, really. After the disappointment that was Rudskogen, to bounce back here at VIR, a track I love, which is newly remodeled and everything. It looks great. I couldn't be more happy with the result tonight, and it was bloody good racing as well. After the nightmare last week, to have close battles with Cody, where we were both playing little games on each other, but it was all fair racing. I don't think either of us touched the other at any point. It was beautiful racing, so very good fun.
Yeah, indeed. Was fun for us in the comms box, obviously fun for you as well. So this is a short championship, only 5 rounds, but plenty of races to get points in. Do you think that the bad luck you suffered at Rudskogen will affect your season going forward?
I do, unfortunately. As much as it sucks, obviously Cody's currently leading the championship, and he's got a drop round still he can use because he's had 2 good results. I know race 3 wasn't brilliant for him in this particular one, but overall he's still banking points, in all 6 races so far that are all decent. Whereas, when I look at my results, and I've got a big fat essentially 0 for round 1, so I have to be perfect the rest of the season, and he's got a little bit more to fall back on. So the championship might be out of my hands. I'll still give it a crack, of course. But for now, I think let's just go for race wins, do the best we can, and because at the end of the day, all I can control is what I'm doing, and if I am doing the best job I can in the races, theoretically the championship should take care of itself.
Yeah, for sure it should. Well, we send our congratulations to you one more time, Bo, and Watkins Glen at the next round. That is going to be a draft fest for sure.
If you thought this was a draft fest, I don't know what to tell you, because not only is it Watkins Glen boot, but it's without the bus stop chicane as well. So any little break we might have had down the back straight, no, we've just made it even longer again. So it's going to be crazy. Obviously, we've seen other series in Porsches run that layout before, and they were a draft fest, and they're not much of a draft or pack racing car. So I don't know how to prepare for next week. I generally don't. Like, it's going to be crazy. 3 wide is going to be standard, and 4 wide is going to be very realistic, I think. So that's what we have to brace ourselves for.
Yeah, get ready for NASCAR action. Who would you like to thank for your victories, Bo?
I just want to give a massive shout out to you guys at SimSpeed TV for the awesome broadcast you always do. And also a shout out as well to the guys at AOG who run a great series. Just before I sign off though, I do also just want to sort of apologize to the sim racing community as a whole. Obviously there was an incident on lap 1 last week, and I was extremely frustrated and everything. I tried continuing on in the race, but then the driver that hit me earlier in the race came out of the pits after serving his penalty still in front of me, and I got red missed, and I did something that no one should ever do. So I just sort of want to apologize to everyone in the sim racing community for that. It's a disgraceful act and should not happen. And I've been very heavily worded by the admins and everything. And originally bans were looking in place. So apologies for that. And yeah, overall, don't do that. Be better than that. So.
All right, thanks very much for your words there, Bo, and very well said in any case. We will see you hopefully at the next round. That's Bo Albert there, winner of all 3 races here tonight in the Pro class. Meanwhile, in the AM class, it went to Ryan Green in the 3rd and final race of the night, and Braden's going to stand by with him.
Yeah, welcome to the comms box, Ryan. A interesting night for you, starting a little bit further back in race 1 in P28, but managing to fight your way up the field in the 3 races, ending up in P10 overall and taking the AM class win. How did you avoid all of the carnage that was happening in the mid pack?
First of all, hello. First I'm in here, and I didn't. I was midway through race 2, I was 42nd or 41st, well out of the game. I think I don't even know what I started race 3 at, like somewhere in the 20s, but there was just, it seemed like RNG with some of these incidents, just especially up the S's, if you can even get through there. And yeah, it was just my night. I just got lucky. Honestly, that's what it was.
Yeah, started that last race in P21. You said going through the S's, we saw a lot of 2 wide, sometimes almost 3 wide action through there. How hard was it to keep yourself clean and try and keep your nose out of the back or side or front of many different cars?
I didn't try to, especially through the S's. I took a mental note of just not really racing through there. I was driving offline in practice just to kind of see how the car would go through there, and it was just 1, way slower, and 2, just super difficult off the line. So I'm like, I can kind of just wait for the back straight. I don't really want to do anything here. So whenever there came a chance, even if I was quick, I just wanted to stick behind, because with VIR and how twisty it is, there's going to be crashes, and it was just always going to be a game of survival tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I did a little bit of driving this car today, and it was certainly hard to keep the rear of it settled, especially through places like the roller coaster and coming down into that final section like Hogpen. Sorry. How did you go? How did you find that last section in this brand new GR86?
Just being, especially in race, just being super safe. Just brake a little bit earlier, especially with the draft. You can kind of take that in the braking zones, be a little bit safer, not lose the car, because especially if you're behind someone within especially 7/10, you're going to make it back. So there wasn't really too much risk I wanted to take. There's no point, sending it like an absolute madman. I am. I'm not like, the top guys. I was never going to be up there. So, fighting for positions I can and not losing the car. But just, driver safety smart was the main thing.
It looks like you might have actually won the round for the AM class because I think race 3 has a little bit more points on offer. We're not 100% sure yet, but if that's the case, congratulations on taking the round win for the AM class. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just thank my teammate, Pat Oliver. Their sponsors, Toyota Sim, Vespa, and Impression Signs. And just all the boys. We hopefully having a big year with Alpha Venturi Racing. Just trying to hit the scene. So, onwards and upwards. Good start to the year, I would say. 10 days in.
Absolutely, and hopefully we can have you in the comps box a couple more times before the end of the season, and wish you all the best of luck next week at Watkins Glen.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
There you have Ryan Green as our possibly round winner for the AM class, and we're going to have one more final interview to wrap up the night. Reese, you're going to have a chat to Thomas Hinz.
Indeed, I am. Well, Hinsey, was race night right in the thick of the action for you, and you managed to get a podium out of it as well. But it must have been intense racing in those draft packs down the long straights here and trying to keep up through the turns.
Yeah, no, it's these cars are make for some very intense racing. Obviously, being low-powered stuff, you get that pack racing stuff going on, and yeah, it's definitely keeps you alert. It was good. Went way better than I thought. I actually managed to qualify pretty well for me, which is unusual. So that really helped because I wasn't in amongst everything kicking off by the sounds of it further back. I was able to just sort of try and keep my nose clean. That's really all I was trying to do, is just keep the nose clean and bang some top 10 results really. And then the third race, I just was sitting there and everyone just kind of went off the track for me. It was great. I just didn't do anything. I sat there and waited for everyone to go off and podium. So cheers to everybody for that. I wasn't expecting it, but cheers. so ended up being a really good one, and a lot of fun. But certainly very intense racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your favourite out of the circuits to come? Because we go to Watkins Glen, Okayama, and then Mount Panorama to end. I think there's one track that is ranked a few ranks above the other two there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious one, but you got to say Bathurst, really. I think that'll be the fun one. Watkins, I'm dreading a lot, because that's going to be... We thought this was draft heavy. Watkins is going to be, oh, geez. Those packs are going to... Oh boy, they're going to get bad. So I'm a little bit scared for that one, but hopefully it'll be okay. Okayama should be a good time. That's usually a lot of fun, and lower powered stuff. It worked quite well, so it should be fun. Obviously Bathurst will be the one to look forward to. Be really good. Hopefully have some really good racing and get some more good results to what'll be at the end. By then it'll be finishing off the season, so hopefully wrap it up well.
Indeed. Well, who do you have to thank for your results tonight, Hinsey?
Just all the responses on the car. I think Chassis 52 and all the Henry Jones Racing guys and Jinx Shifters. There we go. I nearly forgot. I don't think Ben's watching, but if he was, he'd be very proud of me for that. Jinx Shifters obviously, and all the other sponsors on the car. Big thanks to them, and big thanks to Henry for just always doing just primo livery. He always knocks out of the park with every livery he does. So primo once again, Henry, love it. Big thanks to Dan. Big thanks to Dan and the guys at AOG for putting on this show. It's I don't envy him running this with some of the things that seem to be happening in these races, but big thanks to him just big thanks for him for putting up with everything to make it happen. I know sort of pain a bit from way back when I used to run some things. Big thanks to you guys, of course, for putting on a great show.
Thanks very much for joining us, Thomas Hinz. That's going to bring to an end tonight's coverage of the AOG Summer of GR86. But of course, next week on the 17th of January at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, we'll be going racing at the classic boot layout of Watkins Glen International. Really looking forward to that one, Braden, as I'm sure a lot of the drivers are too.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see if Bo Albert can keep the picket fences of ones going, or if Cody Death can have a bit of a fight back after that letdown in the last corner of the last race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for watching, and we hope that you can join us next week for more GR86 action. But we've got plenty of broadcasts to come here on SimSpeed TV. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can also leave us a like on social media, and you'll be able to get updates on what we've got coming up next. I'm Reese Gardner, Braden Martin with me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy making it a full broadcast for everybody across the internet. From all of us here, we say bye for now, but not forever.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?